get right to him. He's ESPN's Buster Olney, and he is here with us to talk a little baseball. And we're getting excited here in town because Major League Baseball is coming here to play at Rickwood Field. And the place is looking beautiful, and the country is learning about Rickwood as we get ready for that big game. So we're excited about that coming up. But, Buster, I want to ask you about bringing in the stats with Major League Baseball and the Negro League stats that are now part of Major League Baseball. I know a lot of research went into this. Did you ever study that? Did you read books about the old league that played here in Birmingham with the Birmingham Black Barons? Did you go back and do a lot of research?
Without a doubt. I mean, I certainly read about it. And you know, the stories are, and they're legendary. And I love the pictures that you have. I didn't know that much about Rickwood Field. I've never been there personally. I know Jim Murray, who oversees the construction of these ballparks. When Major League Baseball has these events, they do a phenomenal job. And I'm, happy for that town that this ballpark will essentially get a makeover on Major League Baseball's dime. I remember when they played a game at Fort Bragg, they basically found this field and it was phenomenal. So I think that's really cool. Next week, I'm excited. Next Tuesday, I said on the podcast, I want to have two sons of Alabama. So I'm going to have Cleon Jones and Jake Peavy come on the podcast together and tell stories. Jake is very well versed in the history of Rickwood. It's baseball has done some cool events. They played a game at the Field of Dreams field, and that was neat. But that was a movie, right? The Fort Bragg game was great, and I was, they were essentially honoring the military, and that was great. There's no place where they built a field, not in London, certainly, in the games they played there, that I think is going to have the meaning that this game will have. I wish we were doing the game on air for ESPN.
Yeah, me too.
Buster, we haven't had a chance to meet. I'm Emily Grace. I'm filling in for Lance and Brown. As you can see, I look a little different than the usual set. But listen, we have to talk about the Braves. Our audience are big Braves fans. And I want to ask you, Alex Anthopoulos, he's known for making really creative moves with what he's got. What is your opinion on positions of need that the Braves want to acquire, and how is he going to do that with a thinner farm system?
Yeah, and you saw yesterday, nice to meet you, by the way. You saw yesterday that Alex went out and spoke to the media and made himself available. I have heard so many stories through the years of general managers when the team's going bad, you can't find them. And Alex made it really clear yesterday when he went out, like, you know what? This is the time for me to be out there to talk about the team. And of course, he said, I'm stating the obvious. We're really not playing very well. Here's the complicating factor for him in deciding what they need. Their offense is shockingly bad. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. But at some point, if you're working in the Braves organization, you assume that Austin Riley's going to hit it at some point, right? You assume that Michael Harris is going to get better. You assume other parts of that lineup are going to get better. I think, and I've talked to Alex about this. I think what they're going to do is to wait. His instinct, I think, is to wait and hold his ammunition back. And then whenever they determine what the biggest need is, that's when you're going to see him strike. And maybe that's going to be a starting pitcher before the deadline. Maybe it's going to be an outfielder. Maybe it's going to be something else. But it's shocking that these parts of the team that they thought were going to be really good are a problem. And by the way, you're talking about Braves fans reacting. I know this because my son is a nutty Braves fan, and every day you talk about mournful text messages, because unlike last year when they always led 3-0 in the first inning, it feels like this year they're down 3-0 in the first inning. And my son is like, that's it. I'm done watching. And then I just text him back until tomorrow.
Well, and this is a simple question, but when the offense is not producing, from a manager perspective, really what can be done? And do you think that the woes are now beyond just the lineup not producing?
It could be. It could be that. But I think because, in order to go out and let's say they were to make an aggressive trade right now, you basically be saying, we don't believe in Austin Riley. And I know they do. They've seen him in the past go through these stretches where he's struggling, and then he figures it out, and then he's one of the top 10 players in the National League. Michael Harris, beginning of last year, they activated him without having games in the minors. He stunk for 6 weeks. And then I think he hit like 340 for the last 3.5 months of the season. He was outstanding. So with all these guys who are struggling, there's history there of each of those players figuring it out, which I think almost makes this more, maddening. It makes it more difficult because if you're Kevin Seitz or the hitting coach, and I talked to Seitz, a few weeks ago and asked him about the conversations he's having with the players. You just have to keep going through the process, and you have to keep talking to them and speaking positively, because you got to believe Austin Riley, Michael Harris, et cetera, are going to get better.
Absolutely. I was going to ask you about that. And you mentioned Jake Peavy earlier. I had a chance to speak to him at the Regions golf tournament. And one thing he said was how desirable the Braves clubhouse is across the MLB.
Yes.
Is that still the case? What is the mood of the clubhouse right now?
Oh, yeah. Just in terms of clubhouse culture, it absolutely is. I mean, I just have heard stories, and I've talked about him on the show in the past, Jacob deGrom and Sonny Gray, and guys are like, man, I'd love to play for the Braves. People want to go there because the clubhouse culture is so good. And this is an example of that, where there isn't necessarily an overreaction, but at some point they do have to, and Alex at some point will make moves. And again, I wish I could tell you it's going to be for a starting pitcher or for a particular position player. But for now, they're going to wait and expect that Austin Riley and the others are going to get better.
What did Biggio to the Dodgers do for that lineup, for that team?
Well, first off, for Cavan Biggio, it was a great change of scene move for him, because it feels like the Blue Jays are brain dead right now for whatever reason. Like, it's just not working with that group of players. And so Cavan Biggio's been someone who's always seen as a player with offensive talent. And it's also a sign that the the front office is kind of getting fed up. We just talked about the Braves and guys struggling with the Braves. Well, the Dodgers are going through the same thing. A lot of that is masked by the fact you got Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts are doing great things at the top of the order. In spots 6 through 9, it's been awful. Chris Taylor is hitting barely over 100 right now. Kike Hernandez has struggled. On and on and on. They sent James Outman down to the minor leagues. And what the Biggio trade says to me is the Dodgers front office is saying, okay, we've watched this now for 2 months and 2 weeks, and we're going to start looking around. And the shakeup is coming for an organization where the standard this year is win the World Series or bust.
Yankees Red Sox Busters game this week up at Fenway, another great ballpark like the Rickwood Field we have here. Before you go, I was doing a little rehab yesterday. My man Mark, who is putting me through rehab, he is a big fantasy baseball guy. He's been doing it for years. In the rehab area, he's got 3 TVs, had day baseball on all of them yesterday.
Oh, my gosh.
And he says, do you play fantasy baseball? And I said, I don't anymore, but I started playing in 1990. And he's like, wow. And I was like, back then, and I think I'm right about this, Buster, Sporting News would mail us, like, I don't know if it's monthly or bi-weekly, they'd mail us a fold-out of your fantasy baseball league standings before ESPN had it dialed up. And we had a great keeper league that we had when I was in Lexington, Kentucky. Did you ever play fantasy baseball? Or maybe you still do?
Absolutely, I have in the past. And this year, my son, Jake, who I referenced, he turns 20 next week. Okay?
Yep.
And he just finished his sophomore year in college. And we are the Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson of running a fantasy team, because we are in first place and we argue all the time and just bring back. And, I'll say, Jake, what are you doing picking that player? How could you possibly do that? At the end of June, he was like, Aaron, somehow Aaron Judge was available beginning of the 3rd round in our draft. We'd gotten Bobby Witt Jr. and Jose Ramirez, and Aaron Judge was available beginning of 3rd round. And my son's like, nah, he always gets hurt. I'm like, dude, no, we got to take Aaron Judge, who was hitting 178 on April 27th. And my son is like, what's wrong with Judge? Nice pick, Dad. Right? And we just go back and forth with it all the time. Every day we're going back and forth. So we're probably going to win the title this year, and then we're going to split up. Right? We just can't stand each other as owners.
Yeah, that's a great story there. Father and son, Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson. Buster, man, thank you for your time. The guys will be back next week. We're holding down the fort here. Got a little dual vacation going on. Enjoy your trip, and eventually, hopefully, a little vacation for you in the summer as well.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I got a picture from Ryan of the ballpark up in Seattle. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But have fun with it, guys.
All right. See you later, man. That's Buster Olney, ESPN. He's with us every week.